Rossi babes, welcome back to our channel and welcome to another tutorial. And if you're new here, hello and welcome to the Rossi family. My name is Charlize, and if you are new to our channel, I would love for you to stay and be a part of the Rossi family by subscribing to our channel down below and turning on our post notifications. I promise you don't want to miss out on any of our nail tutorials, our tips and tricks, because we have them all for you. And if you are returning to our channel, then thank you so much again for your continuous support. We appreciate each and every one of you. And for today's tutorial, we will be doing a St. Patrick's Day inspired manicure look. And just so y'all can have a little sneak peek of what the manicure will look like, it is gonna look like this that I have on right now. And to achieve this manicure, we're gonna be using our Rossi Glam powders, and I will be using 3 different colors. One of the shades being the shade Sparkle, which is gonna be a gold defined glitter, and also this light green chunky glitter in the shade Pinehurst, which is gonna really make the manicure pop and stand out. And for the 3rd shade, we're gonna be using the color Dwarf Star, which is gonna be such a pretty dark green color and so perfect for a St. Patrick's Day. And I'd also like to mention that Dwarf Star is gonna be a temperature changing color. So the shade does get lighter and it also gets darker, which is super cool. And Dwarf Star is gonna complement so nicely with our glitter shades because they're just gonna pop against this dark green color. And before we get started with the tutorial, I'm gonna give you all a second to make sure you're subscribed to our channel down below and that you've given this video a thumbs up. And now that you've done that, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to be starting off by first pushing back our cuticle. You want to do this very gently and carefully. This is just going to expose any new nail growth and also avoid getting any dip powder on our cuticle line. This next step is optional, but I do prefer to wear nail tips just because my natural nail isn't a medium length. So therefore, we're going to be applying our nail tips. I like to first take our step 1 primer from our Essentials kit and just apply it to the top of the nail, just the area the nail tip will be applied to, which is going to remove any excess oil. And to make the nail tip stick on, we're going to be taking our step 2 base coat from our Essentials Pro Kit. I like to apply a little dot to the center of my nail and then just stick on the nail tip, making sure it's not crooked, and also holding it down for about 10 seconds until it's completely dried down. And do notice how the nail tip aligns with my sidewall, which means it's a perfect fit. And now I'm just going to be taking some little scissors and just trimming them to a medium length. Now to shape my nails, I like to first take a straight edge nail clipper and just cut off a little bit of the nail tip sidewall. This is going to reduce a lot of filing time. And to perfect my shape even more, I'm going to be taking my Rossi 150 edge hand file and filing the sidewalls of the nail. And because I am doing more of a tapered square shape, I want to make sure to keep my nail file as straight as possible. And then just making sure that the nail tip is even at the top. Next step is super important when working with nail tips, so we're going to be taking the same 150 edge hand file and filing that nail tip line in with our natural nail. So if you don't file this down, it will leave a bump whenever you start applying your dip powder. So you want to make sure that you have a nice and smooth nail. So we have our nail tips on and they are shaped, and I also have that nail tip line blended into my natural nails. So now we're ready to start applying our dip powder. And if you aren't wearing nail tips, still make sure to remove the shine from your natural nail before you apply your step 1 primer. So here we're just going to be priming our nails with the step 1 primer. So now that our nails are fully prepped, we're going to be starting off with our first dip powder color, which is going to be the shade Dwarf Star. The cool thing about this dip powder color is that it is going to be a temperature changing color, meaning in a colder temperature it's going to be darker and in a warmer temperature it's going to become a lighter color. And to apply our dip powder, we will be taking our step 2 base coat. In today's video, I will be doing my apex method a little bit differently than I normally would. So for the first dip, I'm going to be applying our base coat in the center where the nail tip and the natural nail meet, avoiding the sidewalls, and dipping into my powder at a 45-degree angle. And this is how it should look with the first dip, and then after about 30 seconds of it being completely dry, I'm going to be wiping away any excess powder. So for the first chunky glitter shade that's going to really make our manicure pop, I'm going to be taking the Rossi Glam powder in the shade Pinehurst. It's going to be such a beautiful light green chunky glitter, and it is going to be holographic, so therefore it's going to have a lot of dimension on the nail. And up close you can see all the different colors it reflects when it hits light. And just a friendly reminder to shake your jars before any dip application. And here's a tip: when using chunky glitters, use either a sandwich baggie or a piece of saran wrap to push the glitter down, and you'll see what I mean in just a second. And this color will be going on our pointer finger, so I'm going to be applying my base to the center of the nail where the nail tip and the natural nail meet, and dipping my nail into our glitter at a 45-degree angle, or if you prefer, you can always lay it flat into the glitter. Now taking my sandwich baggie and placing my nail into the sandwich baggie, I'm going to be taking a cuticle pusher and just using it to really push the glitter down and make sure that it's flat on the nail and not sticking up. And then dusting away any excess powder. It's okay if not all the pieces of glitter stick onto the nail, we're still going to be doing more layers. Now for the middle finger, we're going to be taking the shade Sparkle, which is going to be such a fine glitter. It is not going to be chunky at all. And this gold glitter is also going to be holographic, and under the light it's going to pick up orange colors, some pink, some green, some purples. It's going to be so colorful but so pretty. And of course giving that a shake for the best application. So we're still on the first layer of all our colors, so I'm going to be taking that base coat and applying it in the center where the nail tip and the natural nail meet, which is the same spot I've been applying it for the rest of the nails. And then I'm going to be wiping away that excess powder after about 30 seconds of it being completely dry. We're now onto the next nail, which is going to have that light green chunky glitter, which was called Pinehurst. So I'm still going to be applying my base coat in the same spot and just dipping into my chunky glitter. And then using a sandwich baggie to press that glitter down and really make sure it's flat on the nail. And I'd also like to mention that I don't do this for really fine glitters, just because those have no problem laying down flat on the nail. And then for our next finger, which is going to be our pinky, we're going to be going in with that same shade Dwarf Star and still applying it in the same area. And this is how all of our nails look with our first layer of color. Now let's move on to our second layer of color. So I'm going to be taking my base coat and applying it to about 3/4 of the nails, just a little below that first layer of color, still avoiding my sidewall, and then dipping into the powder at a 45-degree angle and waiting about 30 seconds before wiping away any excess powder. And repeating that same step to the next nail, but this time using the shade Pinehurst, which is our green chunky glitter, and using the baggie method to push that glitter down flat onto the nail. You also want to do this while the nail is still wet, so as soon as you're done dipping your nail, and then after 30 seconds of letting it dry, you're going to want to wipe away any excess glitter. And now repeating that step once again with the shade Sparkle. And if you don't like for your nail to have an apex, then of course feel free just to do 2 to 3 dips of your colors. And then back to the shade Pinehurst, and we're still applying our base coat in the same area. And this apex method will work both on your natural nails and if you're using nail tips like me. And the reason I like to avoid the sidewall and work my way to it is just to avoid the nail from becoming thick and bulky. And since we are doing 5 dips, it's best to work in sections. And now for the third dip, we're going to be taking our base coat and applying it still to 3/4 of the nail, but this time applying it all the way to the sidewall. And as you can see, we're slowly working our way down to the nail, but building our apex at the same time. And repeating that step of applying the base coat to 3/4 of the nail, including the sidewall this time, to each of our nails with each different color. I promise applying chunky glitters does not have to be hard at all. If you use the baggie method or a saran wrap, it'll make everything so much easier. So I definitely recommend doing it even if you're not a beginner. I personally like to do this every time I do chunky glitter because it just makes everything so much easier. And now for the fourth layer of color, we're going to be applying our base coat just a little bit below the previous layer of color we just applied. We're still going to be avoiding the cuticle area until we get to our final dip, and repeating that step to the rest of the nails. And now for our fifth and final dip, we're going to be taking our base coat and this time applying it a hairline away from the cuticle area and dipping into our powder at a 45-degree angle. And while the nail is still wet, I'm going to be taking a dotting tool and just getting that perfect cuticle line. I either like to use a dotting tool or a toothpick for this step, and then wiping away any excess powder. And repeating that process to the rest of the nails, which is applying the base coat of hairline away from the cuticle area. And if you can tell that glitter didn't pick up in this spot, which is an easy fix, I'm going to be pouring some of that green chunky glitter into the cap. And I did apply my base coat to that area that is missing the glitter, and then I'm going to be taking my dotting tool and just picking up some pieces of glitter and placing them onto that area of the nail that is missing the glitter. And then moving on to our next nail, which is going to be the shade Sparkle, and applying the base coat of hairline away from the cuticle area still. And I do like to avoid the cuticle area as much as possible until my final dip, just to avoid that area from becoming thick and bulky. Now that we have all of our layers of color on, it's time to encapsulate our nails using our clear dip powder. This is going to protect the color when we begin filing, especially the glitter shade, so don't skip this step. So to encapsulate our nail, we're going to be taking our base coat and applying it all over the nail, and pouring the clear to avoid cross-contaminating our colors. Now applying our step 3 activator to harden all of our dip powder layers so we can go ahead and start filing. And waiting for about a minute for that activator to completely dry. And a good way to know if they're completely dry is by taking a nail file and tapping it against your nails, and if you hear a tapping sound, then that means they're ready to be filed. Taking my 150 edge hand file, once again, I'm going to be using this to file the sidewall of the nail and just bring my shape back. Since this will be our final filing process, you want to really make sure that you like the shape and the length of your nails. We'll then be buffing out the nail and just making sure that there are no bumps and that the nail is smooth. Now that our nails are filed and buffed, we're going to be applying our step 3 activator one more time before we apply our step 4 top coat. To avoid our step 4 top coat brush from hardening, which happens when it touches the activator that's left over on the nail, we're going to be taking a lint-free wipe with some alcohol and just wiping our nails. Now we're ready for our step 4 top coat, which is going to give us that glossy finish to our nails. We're going to start off by first applying a thin layer using quick strokes. And just look at how beautifully this glitter is going to shine. It's so reflective and in a way looks like it has texture, but of course it's smooth on the nail. It's just the holographic of the glitter. And we'll be allowing that to air dry for 2 to 3 minutes. This first coat always dries pretty quickly, so this should not take long at all. And now to give our nails that extra glossy finish, I'm going to be taking a second coat and still applying it in a thin layer. I literally can't get over how beautiful this green chunky glitter looks. I'm like so amazed by it. But also, as you can tell, my pinky finger, the bottom of the nail looks kind of more of like a lighter color, and that's because this shade Dwarf Star is going to be a temperature changing color. And then allowing that to dry for another 2 to 3 minutes. Lastly, applying our Honey Peach Cuticle Oil, which smells amazing, to hydrate and nourish the cuticle area. And that completes our St. Patrick's Day inspired manicure. I absolutely love the colors, and I also love this green chunky glitter. It looks so beautiful and reflective. And I also find it so cool how the shade Dwarf Star is a temperature changing color. So this is such a perfect fun St. Patrick's Day manicure. We hope y'all love the manicure and how it turned out, and that you'll be recreating it, if not adding your own little twist to it or just doing something similar. Either way, if you do recreate this manicure, please tag us because we'd love to see it, and also just tag us in all your other manicures as well using our Rossi products. And also don't forget to follow us on our social medias because we do share your beautiful manicures and also just any product updates, any product restocks. You definitely don't want to miss out, so make sure you're following us on our social medias for all the 411. And of course, before exiting today's video, make sure you're subscribed to our channel down below and that you have our post notifications turned on. And as always, we'll see y'all in our next video. Bye, Rossi babes!